Welcome back to their hot takes, and the first hot take says that Cody needs to drop the title. He's boring when he's not chasing after it. And the second hot take also goes along with that, saying that the undisputed title has become the secondary title after Cody won it, and a lot of people are not happy with Cody and his championship run. And I remember when he first won the belt, I actually made a hot takes video about the saying that we got to give it some time, and now it's been 5, almost 6 months, and I've got to say that Cody's run has been kind of lackluster. I need to admit it. I don't think it's the worst reign ever, but I don't think it's as great as I expected it to be. And I don't blame Cody at all about this. I actually blame Triple H and his booking. I feel like the storylines have not been that entertaining. And then on top of that too, he had to get inserted in that feud with Solo Sikoa, which also wasn't too great. And that was all for the bloodline purposes for when Roman did return. So I think that Triple H needs to book more interesting stories for Cody Rhodes, because his reign right now isn't looking so great. But there's also other things that you need to consider. One of them being that he beat Roman, who had one of the best title reigns ever, which was pure cinema. On top of that too, Cody is a babyface, and we all know the deal with babyfaces. Sometimes they aren't too entertaining just because they always got to be the good guy, and heels are more enjoyable. So anyways, I would say that I kind of agree with these hot takes, and I do think that Triple H needs to book Cody better, because right now Cody can definitely have a better storyline if the booking is better. Anyways, the next hot take says that KO should dethrone Cody at the next pay-per-view, and I don't think that should happen at all. I think Cody should still be the champion. Like I said, he just needs better storylines. Hopefully this feud does continue and it becomes a little bit better, because right now it's a face versus face, and that's just not working for me. I think Cody's got to have the belt for at least until WrestleMania, or maybe even the WrestleMania after that with a heel turn. Anyways, the next hot take says that Kevin Owens needs to turn heel, and I definitely agree. I think Kevin Owens right now is obviously teasing a heel turn, and when he does turn heel, I think his feud with Cody Rhodes will be so great. I cannot wait. I think Kevin Owens thrives as a heel. I think he's been a babyface for far too long, so let's pull the trigger, let's turn Kevin Owens heel, and let's get a great story with him and Cody Rhodes. Speaking of Cody Rhodes, the next hot take says that Cody versus Rock will happen at Saudi Arabia pay-per-view in February instead of WrestleMania, and The Rock versus Roman Reigns will be intriguing at WrestleMania, more intriguing than Cody versus The Rock. And I gotta say this, I think that we should see The Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania 41. I don't want to wait until WrestleMania 42. I understand that WWE wants to book The Rock versus Cody, but I'd rather see that match take place on the first episode of Raw on Netflix, because I think that will be a huge pay-per-view. And just imagine if Roman screws The Rock or something like that on that episode, which leads to a WrestleMania match. I think that's how I would book it. And on top of that too, we get Cody versus Randy at WrestleMania. TSG thinks that Rhea will be the WWE champion one day. Yes, the men's WWE World Championship. So I'm sorry, Cody, I think you're going to lose your belt to Rhea Bloody Ripley. No, in all seriousness though, she should not be the WWE champion. That would just be crazy, and I do not want to see it. Unless she beats Dominic Mysterio, then that would be funny. Icy says that Gunther does not need another long-ass title reign. It's going to get repetitive. Have someone beat him early. I personally think he should have a long reign. And when I say long, I think dropping it at WrestleMania seems like a good idea, because he's so great in that ring. He puts on a great match with everybody. Just look at the match with Randy. Everybody loved it. So I think he should be champion for a long period of time, as long as they can have him champ. The Dead Dream says that the final boss was the best version of The Rock since he returned in 2011. And I want to go even further and say that it's been the best version of The Rock that we've ever seen in the history of his WWE career. I think the final boss version of The Rock was just absolutely insane. He was dropping F-bombs. He was doing whatever he wanted. That was the best version of The Rock, and I can't wait till he does come back. The next hot take says that Triple H needs to find a good balance between long stories and short stories. Not all stories need to be long, and some instant payoffs are nice. And all I can say is that I definitely agree. I think Triple H does this a little too much. I do want to see short payoffs. We got to see it happen. Hopefully it does. The next hot take says that WWE has too many baby faces right now. It's unbalanced. We need more heels. And this is honestly a problem with Cody's title reign. I feel like he doesn't have too many great heels on SmackDown, and that is definitely a problem. Who would have thought? Because it's so funny, when Vince was booking WWE, we had too many good heels and not enough baby faces, and now it's the opposite problem. So hopefully we do get more established heels on the main roster. Tav says that Triple H fumbled Jey Uso, and it looks like he'll never be a world world champion, let alone a mid-card champion. And I don't really blame Triple H. I gotta blame the whole bloodline stuff, because if Jey Uso was like the world champion or the IC champion, it would be weird for him to just, you know, drop everything with those storylines and just enter this bloodline story with Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. So I think that's the problem with this. I hope that once this bloodline story is over, once Jey Uso's done helping his cousin, I hope he can return to being a big babyface and winning a singles title. Lil Ski says that John Cena should not be in the world title talks or the world title picture. I completely disagree. John Cena should win the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE title sometime in 2025, maybe even at WrestleMania. Who knows? Maybe John Cena will be the one who dethrones Gunther. Reactive FN says that Bronson Reed is world championship material. He should be champ in the next year and a half. I don't know about the next year and a half, maybe 2 or 3 years. I can see Bronson Reed winning a world championship. I think he's a great talent in that ring. This hot take would disagree, saying that Bronson Reed is literally just Otis, but he does tsunamis. First off, I love Otis. I think he's a great talent. He's a great person to have on the roster, and he's very entertaining. So I don't even see this as a bad thing, but I do think Bronson Reed is a tiny bit better than Otis, just because he feels more like a serious threat on the main roster with his character. Speaking of Otis, this says that they jumped the gun with Gable and Otis, and I kind of agree. I think the turn could have happened at SummerSlam, and I do think they could have extended the match to happen maybe at Survivor Series or WrestleMania. I think that Chad Gable and Otis had a lot of potential, but unfortunately they fumbled with that storyline. This hot take says that I low-key missed brand-specific pay-per-views, and I do agree with this. I used to love that when I was younger, or even in 2016, but I do understand wanting to make the most money, and if you want to make the most money, you gotta have the biggest matches possible, whether that's Raw and SmackDown on the card, so I get it. Spencer says that Bianca Belair is the best in-ring worker of the decade, male or female. I would say that she's been great, but she's not the best. You got Roman Reigns, you got Cody Rhodes, you got Seth Rollins. So honestly, I don't think she's the best. Is she in the top 10? Probably, but not number 1. Shireen says that LA Knight won his first and last title in WWE. I don't think we got to be negative and say this. LA Knight is definitely going to be a world champion. I'm hoping that does happen. Meme Central says that Mark Henry during his Hall of Fame run was scarier than any version of The Undertaker and potentially any other wrestler in the history that I can think of. I think it's the authenticity. We know nobody can summon thunder, but the things Mark Henry did were insane and terrifying, while at the same time being realistic and actually possible. Nothing supernatural. He just genuinely seemed like a dangerous, terrifying man. This is a random but actually very interesting hot take. I do think that the Mark Henry Hall of Fame run was very scary, because if you saw him in real life, you get your ass beat. But I don't think he's scarier than Kane or The Undertaker. Those guys really terrified me to the point where I had nightmares of them when I was younger. So I'm sorry, I gotta still give it to The Undertaker and Kane. Zach says that Daniel Bryan will come back to WWE for one last time, and as much as I want to say that happened, I don't think it's the case. He's literally the AEW World Champion, and he probably is going to retire there and then work behind the scenes when he does give it up in the ring. Isaac says that The Fiend was not that great, and this is where I gotta disagree. I absolutely love The Fiend. I think that there's so much more he could have done. There's so much more he could have accomplished, and there's so many stories he could have told. Unfortunately, Vince McMahon kind of ruined The Fiend, but if we look back at The Fiend, I think The Fiend was great and honestly underrated. And the last hot take says that Dominic Mysterio is better than Eddie Guerrero, and this is when I know we gotta end the video, because there's no chance that Dominic Mysterio is better than Eddie Guerrero. We cannot make that comparison. Eddie is one of the goats of this business. Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next video.